The date is December 1989. At the Central Bank of the Philippines in Manila, a bundle of $100 bills has just been deposited. They are being counted by the teller, who notices something unusual about one of the notes. It looks convincing and passes all the normal tests for authenticity, but there is something about it that just doesn't seem right. The bill is highlighted as a possible counterfeit and escalated up to bank management, who in turn send it to the United States for analysis. It ends up in the hands of the US Secret Service at their headquarters in Washington. They conduct various methods of investigation: exposure to ultraviolet light, fibre analysis. Eventually, the experts take out strong magnifying glasses and examine the note inch by inch, millimetre by millimetre. Doing this, they notice two minuscule errors. Firstly, on the face of the note, there is a small gap located to the right of the oval containing Benjamin Franklin's portrait, a gap that isn't there on a real $100 bill. On the reverse, one of the lampposts contains a thick line at its base, a line that is fainter and less defined on the genuine article. The bill is a fake, but not just any fake. It is the most convincing and sophisticated in the history of modern counterfeiting. The note is given the classification C14342, but is more often referred to with a secondary, colloquial name, the supernote. The Secret Service must now begin the difficult task of ascertaining its provenance. Who produced the supernote and where are they based? Clues to these questions can be found in the supernote's construction. The bill has been made using an intaglio printer, a kind of large industrial printing press, often used in the production of official documents, things like currency, passports, and stamps. These particular printers are extremely large, expensive, and hard to obtain. They are owned almost exclusively by governments, indicating that the Secret Service are not hunting for a criminal organisation, but instead are looking at a extremely high-quality, foreign government-sponsored counterfeiting operation. Initial suspicions fall on Iran, an avowed opponent of the United States that possess intaglio printers obtained by the Shah in the pre-revolution period. Other experts blame Lebanon or Syria, but as the investigation progresses, there is one country that crops up again and again: the DPRK, better known as North Korea. The economy of North Korea is strange and hard to define. Since its establishment in 1948, the country has pursued a centrally planned communist system, characterized by state-owned industries and collective farms. Through the 1950s and 60s, this approach delivered slow but steady economic progress. In 1974, North Korean GDP began to be overtaken by its southern counterpart, precipitating a period of economic stagnation. This situation worsened with the collapse of the Soviet bloc in the late 1980s and early 90s. Manufacturing in North Korea relied on Soviet oil, and when this supply dried up, the effect was a complete standstill in North Korean industries. The country therefore faced an acute cash flow problem. They needed money, and fast. To do this, the Kim Il-sung regime resorted to a program of criminal sovereignty, using the tools of the state to perpetrate schemes abroad. These schemes are orchestrated at the highest levels, directed by the supreme leader and conducted primarily through a shadowy organisation known as Office 39. Founded in 1972 and based in Pyongyang, the office is allegedly responsible for maintaining a foreign currency slush fund for the country's leader, generated through a network of activities: narcotics smuggling, illegal arms sales, and, you guessed it, counterfeiting. Following the initial discovery of the supernote in 1989, cases of North Korean counterfeiting began to shoot up. Early instances were marked by the involvement of diplomatic or intelligence personnel. For example, in 1994, 5 North Korean diplomats in Hong Kong were found to be in possession of $430,000 in supernotes. In 1996, Yoshimi Tanaka, a former member of the Japanese Red Army who defected to North Korea in the 1970s, was arrested in Cambodia, carrying a DPRK diplomatic passport and $200,000 in counterfeit notes. Similar cases occurred with North Korean embassy staff in Mongolia in 1996 and a trade attaché in Russia in 1997. These cases heavily implicated North Korea as the manufacturer of the supernote, a suspicion that was augmented by testimony from North Korean defectors. Through these accounts, American investigators began to piece together a more complete picture of North Korean counterfeiting operations. They learned that the supernote was being produced at a facility called Printing House 62 in Pyeongseong, operated and closely guarded by a secret police agency, the Ministry of Social Security. Here they possessed the same model of printing press used by the United States, a Swiss-made Intaglio Color 8, and had even sent technicians to Lausanne to be trained in the equipment. Bills produced in Pyeongchang are then passed on to diplomats and other overseas personnel. According to high-profile defector Kang Myung-do, supernotes are shipped from the printing plant in black briefcases, each containing about $1,100 bills, which are given to North Korean diplomats for distribution overseas. Your loyalty to the party is measured by the amount of foreign currency you can get in return. American intelligence were now convinced of North Korean involvement in the production of supernotes, and began taking direct steps to combat the operation. This included lobbying for an increased level of scrutiny against diplomats from Pyongyang, with one journalist reporting how North Korean diplomatic and trade missions, long used as smuggling centres, are being watched more closely. A second anti-counterfeiting measure came in the form of improved security measures for US currency. In 1996, the Treasury introduced a redesigned $100 bill. The Big Head note, as the design was sometimes called in reference to the new portrait of Benjamin Franklin, used optically variable ink to produce a colour-shifting numeral in the right-hand corner. Other features included a watermark, an updated security thread, and additional microprinting. Despite these efforts, North Korean counterfeiters would not be easily deterred. The original C14342 supernote was soon accompanied by a genealogical tree of related counterfeits: C14403, C14895, and C20000. These variants represented a game of cat and mouse between counterfeiter and officiant. The US Treasury would introduce a new feature or alter an old design, and the technicians in North Korea would reverse engineer the printing process, source the necessary materials, and produce an updated supernote. For instance, the optically variable ink introduced in the 1996 redesign was manufactured by a company in Switzerland called SICPA. Coincidentally, North Korea ordered a remarkably similar batch of ink from SICPA that same year. This was likely used in the production of the first Big Head supernote, discovered in London in 1998, and given the designation C21555. Another variant, C22500, appeared in Macau the following year. By constantly updating their supernote production process, the North Koreans were able to adapt to American anti-counterfeiting measures. They also began to revise their distribution methods. Where supernotes had previously been distributed on a small scale by overseas officials, Pyongyang adopted a larger and more robust system, smuggling counterfeits via a complex network of shipping companies and foreign criminal organizations. In 1998, an executive from the Zokwan Trading Company, a state-run North Korean import-export business, was arrested in Macau with $100,000 in counterfeit US currency. 1 year later, another Zokwan employee was arrested in Macau, this time with around $400,000 in supernotes. Probably the largest case, however, occurred in the early 2000s, when an Irishman named Sean Garland was accused of running a currency smuggling operation between Dublin, Moscow, and North Korea, estimated to be worth around $27 million. Garland had been the leader of the official IRA, a Marxist splinter of the Irish Republican Army. He had ties with former KGB men in Russia and agents in North Korea, and used these associations to establish a tripartite smuggling operation. Garland would allegedly travel to the North Korean embassy in Moscow, where he would purchase supernotes at a wholesale price and distribute them through an elaborate network with criminal outposts in Belarus and Russia as well as Ireland. Garland's activities revealed the truly international scale of North Korean counterfeiting, as well as the deep involvement of criminal organizations. This situation presented a real threat to the US government. Widespread distribution of counterfeits in the international market would reduce global confidence in the dollar and thereby threaten American economic power. The United States needed to react. They began by publicly accusing North Korea, issuing a statement describing how, for the past several years, the Secret Service has investigated a family of counterfeit notes. The sophisticated techniques utilized in the production of this family is evidence of a well-funded ongoing criminal enterprise with a significant scientific and technical component. This family of counterfeit notes is emanating from North Korea. Alongside this public declaration, US security services began to plan a series of large-scale sting operations, codenamed Royal Charm on the East Coast and Smoking Dragon on the West. Undercover FBI officers made contact with smuggling gangs, mainly based in China and Taiwan, and ordered large shipments of counterfeit currency, which were seized upon arrival in New Jersey and Los Angeles. In order to carry out arrests, agents invented an elaborate ruse designed to draw suspects onto United States soil. They were invited to a wedding aboard a yacht, docked near Atlantic City, New Jersey. They were sent real invitations, but the wedding was fake. When several of the individuals showed up for transportation to the ceremony, they were promptly arrested. These operations were followed by a US crackdown in the global banking sector. Throughout their investigations, the Secret Service had identified Macau as a key destination for supernotes, which were allegedly being laundered through banks located in the Special Administrative Region. In 2005, one such institution, Banco Delta Asia, was singled out as a primary money laundering concern. The US Treasury ordered all American companies and financial organizations to cut ties with the bank, a decision that led to the freezing of several key overseas accounts belonging to members of North Korea's ruling elite. A further blow to supernote manufacture came in 2013, when the US Treasury introduced a redesigned $100 bill into circulation. These new notes contained a series of updated anti-counterfeiting features, colour-shifting panels, a 3D security ribbon, and microprinting, with official documentation relating how it only takes a few seconds to check the new $100 note and know it's real. No new supernote variants have been discovered since 2008, and discoveries of supernotes already in circulation have been declining year on year. This is not surprising. America's anti-counterfeiting campaign transformed the production of supernotes into an expensive and risky enterprise, one that may no longer be profitable for the regime. For the last decade, North Korea's largest area of criminal activity has, instead, been in the realm of cybercrime. In 2016, a state-sponsored hacking group in Pyongyang drained $951 million from Bangladesh's central bank. Recent cyber attacks have become more sophisticated. In 2022, North Korean hackers successfully stole $620 million worth of funds from Axie Infinity, an online game based on cryptocurrency. This heist, one of the largest of its kind in history, was confirmed by the FBI, which pledged to continue to expose and combat North Korea's use of illicit activities, including cryptocurrency theft, to generate revenue for the regime. As financial systems have become digitized, it would seem that North Korean criminal activities have followed suit. The analog and outdated practice of counterfeiting has been eclipsed as a profitable criminal enterprise by new ventures in cybercrime, bringing an end to North Korea's long and notorious supernote operation. Of course, we can't be entirely sure that this is the case. Just because no new supernotes are being detected does not mean they do not exist. Pyongyang may still be counterfeiting, and these new counterfeits may be so convincing that their presence is yet to be recognized. As one expert has written, the first possibility is that they got out of the game. The second is that they got even better at it, and we just haven't caught them yet.